Hello, hey, hi, social media family. Speaking of any subscribers to that being my own YouTube social media channel, and any visitors to it being the same as said in question. Former previous prior mention. Do excuse, partner, forgive me if I could possibly be butchering the English language of the American dialect. So much for that conversation. And moving right along. How are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is. Hold that thought. Please don't do that. If you're just going to pop in and peep in on me, then pop back out, whoever you are, you do this all the time. You show all this disrespect to my social media, YouTube channel. And I wish you wouldn't do that. If you're just going to pop in for literally, actually, I kid you not, you all, whoever else wants to know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's just one person or, quite a few or more than quite a few that keep doing this. But there's always, a person coming off like a character who will pop in to my social media channel. I bother them to visit the chat room or comment section I see. And more than likely, more often than not, possibly to avoid my person from there silencing one's chat. And then from there, blocking one. So this person of a character or how many of the likes of one's kind only thinks to pop in on my social media channel to check out what the format is like. If my person am literally actually broadcasting or is somebody else doing it for me, or whether or not I myself could possibly have a clone, or is my social media broadcast being generated by means of some kind of AI, artificial intelligence, or whatever, or whoever else for that matter, including any aliens, minor space in human form, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I don't appreciate that, because it shows disrespect for my social media channel. And if I could get the 411 on who is doing that and how many, if there are more than just one, then believe me, I am going to contemplate seriously blocking you from my social media channel. And likewise, chat room or comment section. Then because I don't know about anybody else, but I consider that not just quite, but very much so disrespect for my own social media YouTube channel. And because if you don't have the common courtesy to at least stay for a few minutes, even if you may not make any comments in my chat room or comment section, but then nevertheless I say, then don't just pop in here for a few seconds. The very minute you pop in here, like after a few seconds, you literally pop out just as quick. And so much for that conversation. Anyway, though, you all, and not that I mean to, go over and over again, and so far as in due regard in reference to any sad sack stories, that's including the one which I had mentioned before I closed out, for that particular one. Anyway, though, I've been feeling like quite up under the weather again, and I suspect my present neighbors from damn hell could possibly have something to do with the way I'm feeling at the moment. But then not just quite, but a lot to do with it, The same ones that want to give me a early morning wake up call and a lullaby at night, worse than the last neighbors from damn hell. These particular ones, and that's like say, including the ones next door to me. As a matter of fact, I'm speaking on the last mention. You know, whereas I woke up late today once again. After I was starting to feel better, now I'm feeling worse again. And as I suspect that they themselves could possibly have something to do with the way I'm feeling, because lately I've been like not able to, go to sleep at much more, how should I put it, normal or reasonable hours during the night. And then when I finally do fall asleep, it's like, I'm falling asleep like after midnight and something like close to the break of day, you know, and then I oversleep. And sometimes or quite often for half the next day, following the succeeding day. And whereas now I'm going to have to try to do something about this here quick, then because I'm supposed to serve as a judge of elections, and I have to get up at 5. I have to get up earlier than that, rather. My bad, correction. I have to get up earlier than 5 in the morning, and then serve as a judge, like be at the polling place where I'm to serve as a judge of elections by 5 o'clock. Because that being the polling place is supposed to open up at 5 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. come the political election day or date in question. So I'm going to see it. I'm going to have to see if I have a working. I still have a working alarm clock or get a new one before then. Otherwise, I'll be out of some money. If I oversleep that. And thanks to the present neighbors from down hell. I may also have to pay just another visit to a local vicinity area neighborhood community hospital of a medical facility for its premises and properties, and then do follow up at a clinic. If things persist so far, my general physical health in one regard and another. Because, like I said before, and stay for record, so I do so in speaking again, like I had expressed in the line of thought in Saints word. I have to be at the polling place by 5 in the morning. When the polls open up, that's prepared for it, and then up to the time it closes at 7 p.m. for that same day, or for the date in question, when the political election is supposed to take place or happen, you know, for the American voting process that governs our own democratic republic or democracy, you know, with elected candidates, politicians, campaigning for a political office. And so much for that conversation. Yes. But then speaking upon some such other, and as it would complement the name title to this present social media broadcast or video, regarding making reference to that being the chaos in the world as we know it, and to complement that being current events, news stories. Yeah. And what is first on the agenda? You know, I don't know, or whichever I want to talk about to begin with. Now they say there was a chemical spill after a train crash somewhere in a suburb within the Midwest here, and they also say that there was like a movie plot story about the same. Isn't there something? So what is really going on? Like a Homer Simpson cartoon episode that's telling about the death of a celebrity in a cartoon narrative, only for a death of a celebrity to happen in real life. You know, it just gets you thinking about conspiracy theories and ruling powers. You know, of the one percenters, 1% of the global population who owns most of the news media, resources, otherwise, of wealth and riches of the planet Earth. You know, same that wants to bump off 1 billion persons in the world so that they, with the help of their flunky subordinates, can control the rest of us 99% of the global population. Yes. Anyway, though, there was a chemical spill after a train crash in some suburb, and now the residents there, they cannot drink the water. They have to rely on bottled water. And then there is, quite naturally, as everybody knows, the war between Russia and Ukraine being of a breakaway province of what was once the Soviet Empire. Now, as I'm hearing it, the white Ukrainians were kind of racist against blacks, whereas they were pulling Africans off of buses and trains that were trying to escape the Ukraine, as well as anybody else that were living there, were living there, however said, before the war had began in the very beginning. And I had confronted a male person that represents that race or nationality of people, a Caucasian or white male, in, I think it was, what was a TikTok video where he was saying and expressing himself, making a statement, but then there's always supposed to be two sides to a coin, like you say. And when I had confronted him later about it, I couldn't get an answer from him. So it tells me right there, there's something, that's rather fishy about his rebuttal, response, or reply to the statement I was making, and to address the issue about, white Ukrainians being racist against Africans. And as I'm hearing it, that a lot of, white Ukrainians, not all of them, but a lot of them are, the likes of racist redneck neo-Nazis supporting hate-mongering groups that's that being, all around the world for the white race of people's person, or the Caucasian. But then also, as I'm hearing it and knowing that much more, what I have gathered, and not just by means of others' 2 cents or hearsay or whatever I ever said, but also I've done my own research. The white Russians have never, ever, they have never owned slaves, black slaves, But yet, white Americans in the USA throughout the centuries have owned black slaves, And regardless of whether or not there is much of an equal amount of evidence that the original Indians are supposed to be blacks, and that according to a conspiracy theory that we blacks were never really brought across the waters from the motherland of Africa, that continent, but we were already here. But in order for, the black slave owners or white person to change the narrative and to further go about that it means to destroy our knowledge of our own selves and our culture, and etc. They had to invent another narrative to prevent us from knowing that we are the original Indians, as well as we claim to be the original Jews. And so much for that conversation. Yes, I think that is what I need to speak from, but then there was one subject, some what I wanted to talk about, not on the other. That was more, I have to do much more thorough research on any current events. That's our word to sound rather vague, but then if anything, I want to go into the specific details. That was more. Yes. And if at some given moment in time, not that I will be meaning to be spreading misinformation, but if I could be in error, then please, but while using discretion, inform my person. Otherwise, to go about it otherwise, to do so, I will say, talk to the hand. I don't want to hear anything else you have to say, then, because you are being not only impolite but disrespectful. You know, in addition to degrading yourself. If you can't discuss matters with me like a mature adult person, then I don't want to hear anything you have to say. You know, I will neither find time nor make time for that nonsense. Because we're all adults here. If you are supposed to be a grown person, you don't speak down to me. Don't talk to me like you're attempting or trying to reprimand a child of yours. Because I'm not for that. In order to get respect, you got to give respect. And I just remember how the other time I was on here, I had something like quite a bit of internet troll characters attempting to disrespect my social media channel via my chat room or comment section associated with and representing me. And I had to shut them down from there. Or as Mr. Charleston White of TikTok would say. Getting back to some of such other, and I'm gonna try to nip this in the bud because it's now my bedtime, and I try to get my beauty rest regardless of any neighbors from down here who took me throw a monkey wrench in it. Tip me to throw a monkey wrench in that program as well for my own personal survival. I'm gonna try to nip this in the bud. So here we have it. Our own president-elect, he pays a visit to the Ukraine, but before then, he's supposed to had given Russia the heads up, that he will pay a visit there. So do not attempt to bomb the Ukraine out of existence while he himself is there. And Russia has seemed to follow through to cease fire. Now, why is that? Well, some say that it could possibly be because President-elect Joe Biden's son, Hunter, had gone about doing some illegal dealings in Russia before his father, the president-elect, had become president of the USA. Some kind of major money-making business deals. And here it is that the president-elect had the nerve to simply say, to attempt to put former ex-president Donald J. Trump in a bad light, so far as some of such supposed or so-called confiscated paper documents, only to find out that he himself was not only, or could possibly not only be doing the same, but worse in that same line of thought, in no sense of the word. Yeah. And so much for that conversation. And moving right along, on to other things. So far as the weather temps is concerned, I have been noticing myself how, for where I'm at in the Midwest, there has been a bleak and dreary looking sky out there, and the weather temp sucks, and for a consecutive number of days, whereas that could be partly the reason why I'm feeling like I am now, once again, worse yet, up under the weather. And as it would go without saying, double triple be saying, when I suspect that certain neighbors for where I'm at now could have had a lot to do with my failing general physical health at the moment, and my rather that much more irregular sleeping patterns and irregular breathing patterns. Yes, I'm having trouble with my breathing now. Once again, that much more on the same. Well, anyway, though, let me see if I could recollect or recall as much current events as I can in different subject matter topics of discussion to be debated. You know, to address some of such, even if rather vaguely, or even if I do give y'all the Cliff Notes version, because it is at a rather late hour. And I want to try to recuperate because, like I said, I'm not feeling too well, feeling quite up under the weather, and I want to try to, from taking home remedies to maybe taking some over-the-counter drugs to taking some prescription medicines for what little I have. And then I may have to get more once I were to pay another visit to the hospital to do follow-up clinic, because I'm feeling like quite a bit in the funk. So on the other thing, then the Hollywood, California actor, I think his name is Alex Baldwin. He is now being charged with the murder of one of his co-workers or a subordinate, so far as concerning the Hollywood set. And then there is the question of whether or not Rihanna had at one time or another had given an STD or VD to what's that character name? Chris Rock. Not Chris. No, not the one that been pimp slapped by Will Smith. But I think you know who I'm talking about, y'all. And not the one who's now a Christian. His first name is Chris too. And what else do I wish to discuss that can come to mind on short notice? As much as probably before I would have just decided to call it a night, as I'm feeling quite a bit of a funk. Yeah, but then getting back to some of such in due regard to politics, whereas remember when China at one given moment in time, the People's Republic of China were ordered, that is, the diplomats, to leave the USA because the United States government and the U.S. military suspected that, Chinese diplomats are stealing some of our electronic scientific data. But then, it's like practically not possible. The whole world is relying on China for, you know, electronic devices and equipment, etc. And item products otherwise. As I'm hearing it, a lot of our, you know, military hardware, equipment, and, and software, military hardware and software equipment, and 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 motor vehicles rely on electronic devices or electronic parts, meaning which are supplied to even the U.S. You know, not to mention how they supply the rest of the world, as they supposed to have some kind of a monopoly more than any other countries or nations. When it comes to that, I'm like, what are you freaking kidding me? And then, whereas so far as the former Soviet Union or Russia, I'm hearing it that they are supposed to have a monopoly on oil being which could be translated or be transformed into gas. And here it is that, you know, China is wishing to accept Russian diplomats to pay a visit to its country for something like, what is it, the first or second time throughout chronicle human history. So it just get me to thinking, what's going on here? Is World War III on the horizon? Could it come into being much closer than we think, so to speak? But then nothing happens outside of God's will, according to his divine plan. Also, speaking upon some of such other matters, I hear where there was supposed to have been a black male that had invented, a means by which a motor vehicle could possibly run or be driven without that of a gas supply. And according to a conspiracy theory, he was bumped off by agents of our own American government or the business sector, otherwise of civilian nature. Maybe likewise the military. And then they confiscated his invention. Isn't that something to think about? Anyway, though, I think I'm just going to conclude some of this matter and go to bed because I'm feeling just so, you know, yeah. And hopefully, no foul person has given me, some of such that is associated with the pandemic, especially of the likes of a neighbor from damn hell could have possibly, got all up on my face and didn't give me my 6 feet distance, or somebody else, elsewhere for a place of business for its facility of tons of properties, and hopefully not any doctor or nurse had given me the jab without my knowledge, as well as without my permission, without my consent. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm saying, although I'm not speaking for the jab, I'm not speaking against it either, but rather I'm in a neutral zone when it comes to that. And so much for that conversation. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, they say that there's supposed to be some kind of snowstorm coming through the Midwest again. All this here topsy-turvy, abnormal or unnatural or partly man-made weather temps. I don't know what the hell is going on. But then at one time or another, U.S. business, and government, and military personnel supposedly had paid a visit to that commie third world nation of Cuba, which is right in our backyard. And while they were in the embassy, they had heard something that had messed up their equilibrium, well, had them fucked up, funked up, whatever. Had them lose their balance, and they were feeling dizzy and getting headaches. They were experiencing nausea, then some. Was getting infected upon something called an EMP. That's means how one country or nation can knock out all the electricity of another country or nation, and then throw a rival country or nation into the dark ages, before any countries or nations had began using electricity. Something to think about. I'll go back to what I was saying about World War III. If one country or nation's electronic grid is compromised, and that just reminded me how I get to get some kind of backup generator. Because I used to be a survivalist-preppy myself, believe it or not. But now I'm back to square one. I don't have much of anything stored. I was some kind of survivalist-preppy even before I become a believer in God, even when I was an unbeliever. Now I'm back to square one, And whereas if the crap would have hit the fan, then I think I would be just as much in danger and due regard to my own personal survival as well as anybody else. Because I don't have any ready to eat food, substances, all packaged up and ready to go. And, a home medical supply, and, so I'm going to have to do what I have to do in due time to start to, pack up on supplies. Although the God of our own understanding for believers has not given us the spirit of fear. But then with my most recent battles with my felon physical health issues, just get me thinking. I have to speed dial, possibly trying to become or be a preppy once again, survivalist preppy. And check this out. This is supposed to be a whistle here, see? On the other end is a compass. See that there? And look at here. You open this up, and this could become like some kind of container. It can also be used as a drinking vessel. Yes. Something else I would want to show you all before I would close out. I'm sorry if I have been quite vague in speaking upon the times that we're living in. As I'm not feeling too good at the moment, maybe I do another segment to this video, like do some kind of series. I don't know, like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. What you say? I want to show you all something else. Top to, that should drop to the floor. Man, let's see. Man, that dropped to the floor. Unless one of the neighbors from down hell come here and took it. Oh, there you go. Bear with me. I'm looking for it. Oh. I'm just noticing things to rearrange, misplace, reposition, maybe stolen.
This music watch on Cage. And just a year before his life actually written, just 1933. John Cage's three easy pieces, wound, emerald, and infinite canon. By Joshua Pierce.
Oh.
You're listening to this Tuesday night to Classical WFMT.
This is Janelle Iachino, the bug girl of Rose Pest Solutions. Just like classical WFMT, we pride ourselves on having a long history of serving our Chicago community. Since 1860, we've provided long-lasting solutions to help keep your home and business free from pests. And through our relationship with WFMT, we're able to reach loyal, passionate listeners who value expert service.
You can find out how classical WFMT will reach your potential customers. Call 773-509-5357. And the next, another simple symphony. That's what Carl Wilson called his symphony number 6. It took him a while to compose this piece. He began it in August of 1904, completing it in December of 1920. First performance took place in Copenhagen.
Stuff like item products, which I could really use. It's just a waste of money.
This is very great. As far as I can see,
as more like stolen than misplaced. You know what I mean? Well, show y'all something before I close it out. That's something else. I already showed you that of a lamp, you know. That is something supposed to give me one time. Let me show you my ad. Okay. Yeah, look at here now. Where's some? Okay, this is supposed to be like the outdoors as well. You know, to signal passing helicopter or plane if you're on a deserted island. You know, all right there. I want to hold this for about 15 or 30 seconds before I put it. See, I will see what it is. None on the back. See that there? It gives the direction what you're supposed to do with that. And then, last but not least, there's another, something I'm going to show y'all the same as this. This, if you're outdoors, this will be some kind of fire starter. So slowly but surely, I'm trying to prepare once again to gather that materials of different item products for my own survivalist preparation and training. You know, this here is supposed to be some kind of flashlight in its own right. You know, battery's going here. You can unscrew this and put something in this container. Oh my God. I showed you all this here from like what would be considered as a survivalist manual in its own right. You know, showed you all that during my one of my last videos, was survivalist manual, so to speak. Um, uh, this is some kind of compass. I'm saying. And on that last note of interest, I think I would just close out. You know, started. I wasn't able to give you all much more detail and accurate, and as well as more educational and enlightening dialogue for this particular present social media broadcast, video, whatever you all want to call it. But and I am feeling quite up under the weather. And as I suspect that this one neighbor from down hell, like my next door neighbors in particular, to be more specific, could possibly have not just quite, but a lot to do with my present failing general physical health. And I'm just going to conclude by saying this last note of interest, and that is, or I did mention about this shortish baby formula, didn't I? And it's probably shortish well, not so much as milk compared to chicken wings and eggs. Well, hopefully that wouldn't be likewise as short as toilet paper, personal hygienic items, and over-the-counter drugs, as well as item products that can be concocted or made a mixture of to, from there, go about making home remedies. But then, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in the veins. By recognizing and realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary and hill of the Golgotha, suffering at the hands of some such Roman soldiers upon the orders of their superiors, religious, political, militaristic, and or otherwise than etc. And then nevertheless, he went to that cross of Calvary and becomes perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice, for you as well as for me. So as any of us being of whatsoever race, whatever walk of life, fashions of society, lifestyle preferences, being the old, young, like both from sexual genders, represent not only the human species, but then the rest of the global community, which is supposed to 911 about the apocalypse dead age, and whereas the doomsday clock is now they come 2 minutes to midnight compared on our phone periods prior to them with the 20 midnight for these viability spare time. Or to profess some such faith in them. From there we become to be blessed one without another, from always one. First and foremost, with his salvation, being which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. The second of all, with his deliverance. First, you have got to get his salvation, otherwise, you have nothing coming so far as salvation is concerned. And if and when you were to make that transition for the great beyond the hereafter, your final destination would be the lake of fire, down hell. Whereas from there, you would burn for all eternity, be tortured and terrorized by the devil and demons. And that same orthodoxy will assume so, to come to that to experience some pain otherwise. Whereas we, as believers in God, unlike the unbelievers and unbelievers, will be across that great divide that separates heaven from hell, and in the company of God as angels otherwise, and we will be calm subject to experiencing something other than eternal damnation as an everlasting bliss. We'll be at peace or in peace compared to how some of such others, vice versa, will be in pain for all eternity, everlasting. Hey, but then you all take care and be safe. Be blessed, not stressed. Peace and love, joy and happiness to you and yours, family and friends, and brothers to me and mine. I will hope that I could once again discuss any subject matter with you all soon enough again in a variety. And hopefully next time I get on here, I feel much better than what I'm feeling like now. Yes, you all take care and be blessed, not stressed. Get salvation. My Lord and Savior Christ, if you don't have it already. And I'll talk to you later. We out. Peace.